Hi, my name is Jessica Webb. I recently selected paralegal studies as a major. An interesting fact about me is I graduated from high school 20 years ago, so this is my first semester back to school in a long time. I'm just going to jump right in and talk about my favorite chapters from this class and the least favorite chapters. My favorite chapter from Unit 1 is Chapter 4, which talked about self-esteem and self-concept. This chapter was actually very personal to me because this time last year I was at the lowest point in my life. My self-esteem was basically non-existent. According to an article by Saul McLeod, there are 3 components to self-concept. Number 1, how you view yourself. Number 2, the value you place on yourself. And number 3, what you wish you were like. My favorite chapter from Unit 2 is Chapter 8, titled Listening, Receiving, and Responding. Our textbook defines listening as the process of receiving and responding to others' messages. This chapter also is personal to me, being a mother. I'm working on my listening skills and not just hearing. I've learned that there is a difference. In a TED Talk I watched citing ways that we can listen better, the speaker mentions teaching listening as a skill in our schools, which I think would be very useful. Actually, it was quite difficult to pick a least favorite chapter from this book. Each unit was very interesting to say the least, but from Unit 1, my least favorite was actually Chapter 2, which is mediated interpersonal communication, the most. Even though we as a society do convey messages using technology now more than ever, there are times when I feel left out because everyone in the room is actually engrossed into their devices or phones, and I would much rather communicate face to face, or instead of text, through a phone call. Also from Unit 2, I found Chapter 6 to be the one I like the least. I will agree that language is necessary for people to communicate, though. I found linguistic relativity from our book particularly interesting when it talked about differences in thought when people who spoke both English and French were asked to describe the same kind of images. When they spoke French, the descriptions were more romantic and emotional than when they spoke English. As I stated before, I've learned quite a bit about how we as a society communicate. To be honest, this subject is much more complex than I thought it would be. It's not just about dialogue, and I enjoyed learning about how body language and other nonverbal forms of communication play a big part in how we get our messages across. Not only that, but I also learned how better to see myself and actually how others perceive me as well. My communication style is a combination of mediated and use of language. I hate to admit how often I use my phone to receive texts and phone calls and emails. I'm not an avid user of social media, but I do use it to connect to old friends who've moved away from town. I try to stay connected, and I wouldn't say I'm loud, but I'm not shy. I enjoy face-to-face communicating in that kind of environment. I would rather connect through conversation than through a text. I would much rather have a phone call than a text message. It would be ironic that my 2 least favorite chapters are the ones that talk about how I communicate the most in an everyday life. I need to work on my listening skills and self-esteem, so that might be why I enjoy those chapters the most. This class has taught me a great deal more about how to communicate and listen effectively. I will move forward from this awesome class with confidence that I can listen and not just hear what's going on around me and be able to convey my own others to another appropriately. Thank you.